Coming up on today's Airborne, Boeing makes a 787 test flight, but alerts customers to potential delivery delays. Flyers Rights loses its leader, and Sikorsky begins fulfilling a record order for S-92 helicopters. Welcome to Airborne on Aero-TV. I'm Ashley Hale. Well, as we were wrapping up today's episode of Airborne, our newsroom got a late-breaking story. Jim Campbell is here to report.
Thanks, Ashley, and hi, folks. A little bit of late-breaking news here. GAMA is in the process right this very moment of releasing its end-of-year figures for 2012. Not exactly the best year in the history of the general aviation community. For the moment, the base figures are these. 1. From 2011 to 2012, piston shipments saw a 1.9% decrease, turboprops saw a 10.3% increase, and jets saw a 3.4% decrease. The resulting numbers kind of even up for over last year in that airplane shipments were 2,133, resulting in a 0.6% increase in overall shipment numbers, but billings are down 0.9% at $18.9 billion. GAMA has a lot to say about this. They're in the process of looking at how to make the industry more effective, but the fact of the matter is we've got a bad economy and an administration that is not exactly friendly to GA, and it doesn't seem to be changing its tune now or at any time in the future. But at the same time you look at it, the industry is about half of what it was in 2008. In 2008, Cessna was moving 1,300 airplanes versus the 571 they did at this point so far. Cirrus had done 550 airplanes versus the 253 they staggered out with this year. And finally, Diamond was at 308 in 2008, but did 156 in 2012. The industry is struggling to hang on. A couple of the bright spots, very simply though, are this. There are a couple of strong LSA manufacturers that are announcing numbers for the first time. Flight Design did 76 airplanes, Cutcrafters did 58. And the big shining light among the new segment, and especially new numbers that are part of GAMA for the first time, the helicopter manufacturers, Robinson did 517 airframes. Overall, there's an awful lot at this point to be thankful of in that, well, it could have been a lot worse. At the same time, GAMA tells us that the future is poised to be better at some point when we can expect some economic recovery and one would think a little bit more slack from the administration. For the Aero-News Network, Airborne and Aero-TV, I'm Jim Campbell, and let's hope that 2013 is a hell of a lot better than last year was.
Well, over the weekend, Boeing performed a successful test flight with one of the 787 test flight aircraft as part of the ongoing investigation into the Dreamliner's APU battery issues. Test flights with the 787 were authorized Thursday by FAA Administrator Michael Huerta and DOT Secretary LaHood. The flight departed from Boeing Field at 12:32 p.m. Pacific Time on Saturday, February 9th, with a crew of 13 on board, Boeing pilots and flight test personnel. The flight lasted 2 hours and 19 minutes, landing back at Boeing Field at 2:51 p.m. Pacific Time. The crew reports that the flight was uneventful. During the flight, the crew monitored the performance of the main and APU batteries. Special equipment on board ZA005, which is currently the only member of the Boeing 787 flight test fleet in service, allowed the crew to observe and record detailed battery performance in normal flight conditions. Because the flight was part of the ongoing investigation, no other details have been released. Meanwhile, Boeing has begun to alert customers to possible delays in upcoming Dreamliner deliveries as the investigation drags on. Norwegian is the first customer to be alerted, having been told by Boeing that their first Dreamliners, due to be delivered in April and June, could be delayed. Boeing has not announced a new delivery date or given a written confirmation of a potential delay. After sitting on an airplane on the tarmac for 9 hours in 2006, Hanni decided she would do something about it. The California real estate agent founded Flyers Rights in 2007, and the organization has gone on to become a well-known airline consumer advocacy group. Hanni and the group have been vocal advocates for passengers' rights on airliners, and it was partly their effort that eventually led to the Department of Transportation's rules that impose stiff fines against domestic airliners that allow planes to sit on the ground for more than 3 hours without offering passengers an opportunity to deplane. USA Today reports in an email, Hanni said she was stepping down as executive director of the group she founded for personal and family reasons. The new executive director of the group is Paul Hudson, a member of its executive board. It was Hudson who represented Hanni in a lawsuit she brought against American Airlines following that 9-hour delay. The first of 16 completed S-92 helicopters that will be used by Avincis Group to provide transportation for its customers' offshore oil and gas crews and for search and rescue has been delivered by Sikorsky Global Helicopters. The aircraft order, announced in February of 2012, is the largest single purchase of S-92 helicopters to date. Avincis CEO James Drummond said, quote, "Everyday lives and livelihoods depend on the operations we fly. The size and diversity of our fleet, together with our absolute commitment to safety and quality, means we are equipped to save lives, protect the environment, and provide energy services across the world." End quote. All 16 S-92 helicopters will feature equipment and systems necessary for operations in the North Sea region in accordance with the European Aviation Safety Agency's requirement. These include 5 flotation devices, 2 auto-deployable life rafts, satellite flight following communications, and a main rotor blade ice protection system. Currently, helicopter operators based in 5 North Sea region countries are flying 47 S-92 aircraft configured for offshore transport and search and rescue missions. Boeing's liquid hydrogen-powered Phantom I unmanned aircraft system has completed taxi testing at Edwards Air Force Base in California as it progresses towards its second flight. During the testing, which occurred February 6th, the Phantom I demonstrator aircraft sitting atop its launch cart reached speeds of up to 40 knots, or approximately 46 miles per hour. The Phantom I team has also completed software and hardware upgrades to prepare for flying at higher altitudes. Additionally, the team improved the aircraft's landing system following Phantom I's first flight when the landing gear dug into the Edwards lake bed and broke. Phantom I's innovative and environmentally responsible liquid hydrogen propulsion system will allow the aircraft to stay on station for up to 4 days while providing persistent monitoring over large areas at a ceiling of up to 65,000 feet, creating only water as a byproduct. The demonstrator, with its 150-foot wingspan, is capable of carrying a 450-pound payload. Its first flight, in coordination with NASA's Dryden Flight Research Center at Edwards, was in June of 2012. Coming up, Hello Kitty goes for a balloon ride and winds up in a tree. You're watching Airborne, more in a moment.
Since the early days of powered flight, pilots have struggled with landing in crosswinds and learning proper crosswind landing techniques. Even today, most crosswind landing skills are learned through trial and error, sometimes with disastrous results. Believe it or not, the most common contributing factor in weather-related accidents each year is crosswinds. The second most common factor is wind gusts. In fact, crosswinds and wind gusts cause more landing accidents than fog, thunderstorms, and icing combined. That's where the Redbird X-Wind SE comes in. It teaches pilots the proper techniques to meet and beat these top 2 causes of weather-related landing accidents. By placing pilots in gusty crosswind conditions for extended periods of time, the X-Wind SE gives instructors all the time they need to teach the pilot the proper techniques for landing in challenging crosswind conditions. For more information on Redbird flight simulations, the Redbird X-Wind SE, and Redbird's entire line of flight training devices, visit www.redbirdflightsimulations.com.
Welcome back. If you'd like to suggest a story for Airborne, Aero-TV, our website, or our podcast, drop us an email to news-spy@aero-news.net. Piper Aircraft ended 2012 with increased annual revenue from new aircraft sales. Tom Patton has that story.
Ashley, the company's revenues were up by 13% over 2011, according to information released Monday by Piper. Sales were just under $149 million on deliveries of 158 airplanes compared to 136 the previous year, a 16% rise. Piper President Scott Caldecott said that manufacturing and delivery of new aircraft were stabilized throughout the year as an initiative to level load factory production continued to meet with success. He said the company also met internal financial forecasts and continued working long-range product plans for the future. Piper also continued to expand its global dealer network by appointing new dealers in the Netherlands, Chile, India, Central America, Korea, Turkey, and China. In addition, the company located a sales manager in China to further develop that growing potential market. For Airborne, I'm Tom Patton.
ANN went ballooning a few weekends ago, at least virtually, when we teamed up with the Balloon Federation of America to deliver a day-long recurrent training safety webinar. The event was streamed live by Aero-TV to more than 400 balloonists across the country. The safety and educational program was developed by the Albuquerque Aerostat Ascension Association's Education Foundation and the BFA. The seminar originated from the headquarters of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta in New Mexico. Various educational presentations covered primary topics such as weather and FARs, along with ballooning operational subjects like tethering, pilot instruction, owner-operator maintenance, and landowner relations. Instructors included FAA personnel, industry representatives, and nationally recognized balloonists. ANN's Aerocast host and producer Glenn Moyer served as the Master of Ceremonies. He's also editor of the BFA's official publication, Ballooning Journal. This was a first-time partnership between ANN and the BFA, but reaction from those who paid to view the webinar has been overwhelmingly positive. Recurrent training is just one of the many aspects of the Balloon Federation. To learn more, simply log on to www.bfa.net. The Gipsy Moth biplane from the 7-time Oscar-winning motion picture Out of Africa sold at a world auction record of 201,250 euros. That's just under 270,000 US dollars to an anonymous telephone bidder in Kenya. The airplane is on its way back to the country after nearly 3 decades of being truly out of Africa. The 1929 American Moth Corporation de Havilland 60 GMW Gipsy Moth biplane was featured in the Sidney Pollack-directed movie starring Meryl Streep and Robert Redford. The auction was held in conjunction with the French capital's Retromobile Week. The sale set a new record for Gipsy Moth. And now it's time for our Aero Video of the Week. A big part of the EAA is all about historic aircraft. In this week's Aero Video of the Week, this short video shows EAA founder Paul Poborezny coaxing the engine of the unique North American P-64 to life for the first time in about 20 years. And judging by the snow on the ground, we know now why they hold AirVenture in the summer. You'll find the video by searching YouTube for EAA's P-64 first engine start. Finally, today on Airborne, once the purview of the scientific community, high-altitude balloon experiments have made their way into grade school. Take a helium balloon, a GoPro camera, and a payload of some sort, and voila! You've got yourself a science experiment. That's just what 7th grader Lauren Rojas of Antioch, California did. Her payload, though, was a silver rocket ship with a Hello Kitty doll as its astronaut. Or should that be Astro Kitty? The aim of Rojas' experiment was to gauge air pressure and temperature as the balloon-borne experiment package rose, and she picked up some interesting effects. The peak winds exceeded 60 miles per hour at the 10,000-foot level. The temperature fell from 43 degrees Fahrenheit to as low as 22 degrees below zero, when the balloon popped at an altitude of 93,625 feet. The package fell back to Earth and landed 47 miles from the launch site, but it was 50 feet up in the branches of a tree. The report on NBCNews.com's Cosmic Log does not say if the local fire department was called out to rescue the kitty from the tree. Well, that's our program for Tuesday, February 12th. Remember, you can get comprehensive, real-time, 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at aero-news.net. And please remember, Airborne is streamed twice weekly and is always online. You can join us again this Friday. I'm Ashley Hale. Thanks for watching.